In today's video, I'm going to be explaining all the reasons why I strongly believe that English teachers have lied to you about learning English. And I'm going to be revealing the truth about learning English too. So make sure you watch this video to the very end to find out about the lies that English teachers have told you and also learn the best way to practice English to improve your English speaking skills. So watch this video to the very end. Well, the first reason why I believe English teachers have lied to you, in other words, the first lie that English teachers have told you is that you will never be able to speak English well if you don't learn grammar. Or focusing on English grammar without focusing on other things. I think focusing a student's attention only on grammar is one of the worst lies that English teachers have told you, that if you don't learn English grammar, you will never be able to speak English well. When was the last time that you saw a native speaker learn English, a native kid, an American, Australian, Canadian kid, trying to learn English by focusing all their attention only on grammar? They don't even learn grammar. They learn grammar as they grow up. They learn grammar as they communicate with others. So they learn English grammar somehow organically or automatically without focusing all their attention only on specific grammar, like complicated grammar rules. Some English teachers always tell their students that you gotta learn complicated English grammar rules to be able to speak at an advanced level, like the future perfect progressive tense, the past perfect progressive tense, all these complicated grammatical rules. No native speaker in the world learns English by focusing all their attention, by focusing all their energy on just learning English grammar. It has to happen automatically by focusing on learning sentences. Native speakers learn English by learning sentences and putting those sentences together in the form of dialogues, in the form of conversations, and in the form of longer and more continuous speech or conversations. So rather than learn English grammar all the time or focus your attention only on English grammar, try to practice English by making sentences, by putting those sentences together, by trying to make sentences. I mean, when you learn English by reading sentences or in the form of making and reading sentences, then that way the English that you're learning can stick in your mind longer. It can stay in your memory much longer than just, the time when you have to focus all your attention on grammar. I'm not against learning English grammar. I'm not trying to say that learning English grammar is a big mistake, but learning English grammar can facilitate learning English for you, especially when you're an adult, and can help you up to a certain degree, up to, let's say, a certain point to some extent, but not to a great extent. The lie number 2 that English teachers have told you is that memorizing lists of words, advanced and complicated words, can help you learn English. That is a big lie. Why should you learn words that you will never get the chance to use in real English conversations? Why should you learn phrases, or why should you learn, let's say, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 English words that you never use, you never hear native speakers use in real English conversations? Rather than learn lists of words, let's say 5,000 essential words, 10,000 essential words, 20,000 essential words, 200 million essential words. Try to learn the words that are commonly used in English that you hear native speakers use. Try to learn words by watching movies, by reading books in English sentences. When you read an English sentence, it consists of a couple of words. Try to focus your attention on those words that you see in the sentences that you read by, reading books, by watching TV. Those are the words that you need to learn that are practical, useful, and common enough for you to learn. Not just, books consisting of 20,000 words, 20 million essential words, 514 essential words, 20,000 essential words that you must know. All those words are not the things that can truly shake the foundation of your English speaking skills. They're just words that are good to know, but not essential to know and learn. So always keep in mind that the priority goes to words that are commonly used, not the words that are good to know. The words that are essential to know, because they're so common, they're so everyday and practical that you gotta know them, and you hear native speakers use them all the time. The lie number 3 that English teachers have told you is that you cannot improve your English speaking skills if you do not speak English with a native speaker, or if you do not practice English with a native partner. Not everyone has access to native partners, and even native speakers themselves are not speaking English all the time with native speakers. They may have colleagues from other countries. The native kids, American, Australian, Canadian, the British kids might be studying at international schools where they are surrounded by other kids from other countries. I think the idea that you can only improve your English only and only when you practice it with native speakers is completely wrong. If you think that way, you're completely on the wrong track. You're completely on the wrong track. So what should you exactly do? Rather than look for native speakers to talk to communicate with, to practice your English speaking skills with, try to copy these sentences and words used by native speakers in videos, in movies. Watch movies, watch videos on YouTube, on TV, on the internet, and try to take advantage of the shadowing technique, which is the technique that enables you to copy native speakers, to copy everything they say. So when you watch a movie in English, try to pause the video that you're watching sentence by sentence. When a native speaker in the video says something, says a sentence, says a word, pause the video, look at the word, and try to analyze the word, the sentence. And if you feel confused, if you don't understand these sentences, if you don't understand the words used in the sentence, or you might come across an English idiom or an expression that you may not be able to know the meaning of, all you need to do is take advantage of ChatGPT, copy the sentence, the word, the expression, whatever it is that you don't understand and you feel confused about, and paste it on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to explain this sentence, this expression, this phrase to you. That way, you can simplify learning English, and at the same time, you're learning English from a native speaker, but not a real person right around you, right next to you, but a native speaker in a video or on YouTube, on TV that you're trying to copy, that you're trying to learn English from in the native way. The lie number 4 that English teachers have told you is that reading books and watching movies, doing these 2 things in English is enough, is more than enough to improve your English. That is the biggest lie that you can ever tell someone. Why? Because reading books is not enough. Watching movies is not enough. They're very useful, they're very constructive when it comes to improving your English. They can go a long way towards helping you improve your English, but they're not enough. In addition to watching movies and reading books, you also need to practice dialogues. You also need to practice English grammar, not just by focusing all your attention on English grammar, but by practicing English grammar in addition to learning words, in addition to practicing sentences, in addition to making sentences, in addition to taking advantage of the shadowing technique. You got to do all these things together. So the process of your learning English must be a combination of all techniques, must be a combination of different things that you're doing at the same time. So focusing on each and every single one of these things alone without paying attention to the other things, the other techniques is a big mistake. You shouldn't focus all your attention only on one of these things. You got to focus your attention on all of them at the same time. You got to prioritize which one is the most important one to do. Then you got to pay enough attention to each and every single one of the techniques that I've explained to you up to this point. So watching videos alone is not enough. Reading books alone is not enough. You got to read books, you got to watch movies, you got to also practice English grammar, you got to also, listen to people speaking in videos, in movies, on YouTube, Instagram, on any platform that there are native speakers making videos. You got to also practice making sentences. These are all the things that you got to do all together, in order to improve your English speaking skills. And now I'm going to be revealing the truth about learning English. The truth, the shocking truth, is that English fluency is way easier, far easier than you think. English fluency isn't all about perfection, it's about confidence. When you speak English confidently, despite the grammatical mistakes you might be making, despite the wrong words that you might be using, despite all the funny things that you might be saying that may make no sense, as long as you speak English confidently, you're speaking English fluently. So fluency isn't all about perfection, isn't all about learning a lot of advanced grammatical structures, learning the advanced words, phrases, idioms, collocations, all the crazy things that even native speakers don't know the first thing about. It's all about speaking English confidently. You need to use what you know confidently, with a lot of self-confidence, and that is called fluency. I have seen people speaking English with a lot of crazy grammatical mistakes made, but because they're putting the words next to one another quickly and confidently, you feel that they're speaking English well, despite all the mistakes that they're making. I have seen people speaking English by using the simplest words that you can imagine, the simplest possible words that you can imagine, but because they, were speaking English confidently with a lot of passion and, a lot of self-confidence, they gave you the feeling that they know how to speak English and they're speaking English well. So English fluency isn't all about speaking English perfectly or isn't all about perfection, but rather speaking English confidently and passionately. That's about all, guys. So fluency is way easier than you think. Mastering English fluency is far, far easier and simpler than you think. Rather than focus your attention on learning crazy, complicated, advanced, mind-boggling, sophisticated English grammar, idioms, collocations, words, and those sorts of things, try to upgrade your conversational skills, try to enhance your self-confidence to be able to use all that you've learned as best you can, to the best of your ability, to be able to show others that you're speaking English fluently. And that's about all, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you share this video with all your friends to help them find the best way to learn English and avoid all the lies that they've been told by English teachers. Make sure you like this video in support of this channel and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back soon with another video. Are you someone who's doing their best to improve their English speaking skills, but they believe that their main problem is not having a partner to practice English with? Well, if that is your case, if this case applies to you, then you're watching the right video. Because in today's video, I will be telling you how you can improve your English speaking skills without having a partner. There is no need to have a speaking partner to practice English with the purpose of improving your English. So make sure you watch this video to the very end to find out how you can improve your English without a partner. So let's get started. Well, first of all, most language learners believe that the reason why they are not speaking English well is because they don't have a speaking partner to practice English with. But the problem does not lie in not having a speaking partner. From where I stand, in my experience as an English teacher who's been teaching English for well over 15 years, I believe the problem lies in the fact that, you don't practice enough. Lack of practice. It's not a question of lack of a speaking partner, but rather lack of exercise and lack of practice. The more you practice, the better you can speak English. So you don't need to have a speaking partner to be able to improve your English. And in today's video, I will tell you how you can practice English alone without a speaking partner. All right, now let's focus on the methods that you can use to improve your English speaking skills alone without anyone around you to practice your English with. The first method is to take advantage of the shadowing technique. What is a shadowing technique? Well, this technique enables you to copy native speakers, to copy what they say and try to sound like them in the future. So how can you exactly do this? Try to watch videos on YouTube, on Instagram, on social media, try to watch TV or movies and series, and once you do so, what you need to do is pause the video sentence by sentence and word by word and repeat what they say. Try to copy each and every single word that they say and try to, imitate native speakers and repeat what they say in the exact same way as they do so. That way you can improve your accent, you can improve your fluency, you can improve your pronunciation, and that way everything put together, all the pieces of the puzzle, put together, you can improve your English generally. So that's what you got to do. You got to take advantage of the shadowing technique. Start doing it, as of today. I know it may sound a little bit difficult, time-consuming, energy-consuming, and you may say, oh, how many movies should I watch in order to improve my English? How many videos should I watch on YouTube? And also use the shadowing technique to be able to improve my English. It's not a question of, quantity, it's a question of quality, guys. The better you do it, the more time you spend doing this, the better you will get at speaking English. And that way you can improve your English speaking skills. So don't ask me the question of how many videos you got to watch. The more videos you watch, obviously, the better it is, but someone can improve their English speaking skills by using the shadowing technique while watching maybe 10 videos, 10 movies or series, and someone else might be able to do the same thing, but by watching well over 500 videos or 500 series and, movies, content on social media. So this is something that you really need to keep in mind. It's not a question of quantity, it's a question of quality. And as they always say, quality always comes first. Quality comes before quantity. So try to take your mind off quantity and focus all your attention, focus your mind on quality. That way, I'm sure you can succeed in improving your English speaking skills. Now let's get to the second technique that you can take advantage of to improve your English speaking skills without a partner, which is by talking to yourself. You don't have a speaking partner, that's all right, but you have yourself, right? So try to talk to yourself in front of a mirror. Stand in front of a mirror or sit somewhere in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. And as you talk to yourself, try to stare at yourself, try to look at yourself through the mirror. First, you feel completely distracted and you're not able to focus on your conversations. You're not even able to make sentences or even, use the words that you already know or speak English because you're completely distracted. When you look at yourself in the mirror, when you see yourself through the mirror and talk to yourself at the same time and stare at yourself and see your own eyes, see your own lips, see your own face, speak in English. So you feel distracted, but the more you do it, this distraction goes away and disappears. But as I've always said, it takes time, effort, and energy. So the more you do it, the more you get used to doing it, the more you get into the habit of doing it, and it becomes second nature to you. Then finally, you can easily speak to yourself in front of a mirror and look at yourself and see yourself through the mirror while talking to yourself, and you no longer feel distracted. So distractions usually happen when you start using this technique, but don't feel disappointed and frustrated when you feel distracted and find yourself unable to speak even a couple of words, even make a couple of basic sentences as a result of this complete distraction. But as time goes by, it becomes second nature to you, you get into the habit of doing it, and you can do it much better. And as you take advantage of this method, this technique, you also need to record yourself while talking to yourself in front of a mirror. Why should you do that? Well, when you record yourself while talking to yourself by standing in front of a mirror, after you're done, with talking to yourself, you watch the video that you have recorded of yourself. Watching that video will give you some ideas, will put ideas into your head about how you speak, how you're performing, how you can speak better, how you can better your speaking skills, and also your performance. So that video can provide you with a lot of insight, a significant amount of insight into how you can speak better and how you can improve your communication skills, your speaking skills. Do you know why watching that recorded video of yourself is a high priority as a language learner? Because we all think that we make no mistakes when we speak English. But when we watch a video recorded of us speaking English, then that video can provide us with incredible and unbelievable insight into how we speak and what we can do to better the way we speak. So take advantage of the shadowing technique. Also try to talk to yourself and record a video of yourself while speaking to be able to see where you are, the point at which you're standing, and how you can improve your English and take it to the next level. All right, now let's proceed to the next technique that you can use in order to improve your English speaking skills without having a partner, without the need for a speaking partner, which is by thinking in English. Well, first of all, what is thinking in English? Thinking in English is not translating sentences and words and things into English from your native language, but rather trying to use all the English words that you've learned or memorized, or all the grammatical structures that you've learned and you've memorized in your mind. So how do you do it? You try to make sentences in English in your mind. You try to say things in English in your mind. Let's say you go to a party and you hear some sentences made by the people who are at the party. Or you hear some dialogues and conversations between, let's say, two people. Try to provide responses to those conversations in your mind and think that you are in the position of responding to those dialogues and sentences. So make sentences accordingly, but in your mind. Or when you go shopping, when you go out and there's something that you want to say in English, but you don't know its equivalent in English, thinking in English requires looking for the English equivalent of the word that you know in your native language, but you can't say in English. And once you do so, you learn how to use that word. Once you do so, you learn the word. And later on in your life, when you experience the same situation and you want to say the exact same thing, because you've already learned the word, you know how to say it, and you've already improved your English from that viewpoint. So thinking in English means trying to say things in English, but not trying to translate them into English. By translating things from your native language into English all the time, you cannot speak English well because there are some lingual and semantic differences between two languages. The words in one language cannot be exactly translated into, the same equivalents in another language. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. And finally, the last technique that you can use and take advantage of is by using artificial intelligence. In other words, AI. How? By using ChatGPT. ChatGPT can be your best friend, assistant, teacher, and can be your one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to learning English. You can take advantage of ChatGPT in many ways. You can ask ChatGPT to correct your sentences, to provide you with new words, grammatical structures, to teach you English. You can even, when you record a video of yourself while speaking English in front of a mirror, you can play the recorded file or the recorded video and ask ChatGPT to listen to the recorded video or the recorded audio file and correct the mistakes that you've made while speaking English, correct you, teach you new words, teach you better alternatives to the words, the expressions, or the idioms that you've used. So you can take advantage of ChatGPT or the artificial intelligence in many ways, in more ways than one, to improve your English. And these are all the free techniques that you can use to improve your English and take your English to the next level. These are all the free, completely free methods and strategies that you can use to improve your English in this day and age, thanks to the progress and the advancement of technology, artificial intelligence. You can easily take advantage of platforms, use platforms like ChatGPT or other similar technologically advanced platforms to your advantage to be able to speak English better, to be able to improve your English speaking skills. So you don't need a speaking partner to be able to do so. So do not feel disappointed or frustrated if there is no one around you that you can speak with to improve your English. You can use all the methods that I told you in today's video. You can easily turn all the methods I told you in today's video to your advantage and improve your English speaking skills without a human partner, without a human speaking partner. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you like this video in support of this channel. Thank you for doing so, and subscribe. By the way, share this video with your other friends until they can better their English speaking skills without a speaking partner. One of the biggest problems that language learners face in the process of learning English is memorizing words and not being able to remember them instantly or quickly when it comes to using them. You might learn a new word. You might repeat it 1,000,000 times. You might write it down 1,000 times. But when it comes to using that word at some time in the future, at some point in your life, suddenly you realize that the word has gone out of your mind. You've clean forgotten it. It's gone clean out of your mind, and you're not able to remember it. You're not able to bring it back. So what should you exactly do in this situation? Well, in today's video, what I'm going to do is focus your attention on some proven methods and strategies that you can use and take advantage of to be able to learn words better and memorize them and remember them for a long period of time. Are you ready? Of course you are. So let's get started. But before we do so, make sure you like this video in support of this channel and subscribe if you haven't done so already. In order to memorize words in English, you're going to want to take advantage of the 4-step method that enables you to memorize words as quickly as possible and remember them longer. The first step that you should take is that you should not learn words alone. Don't put a list of yours in front of you and start memorizing them by repeating each word 1,000,000 times. Try to learn words by reading English stories. Try to learn new words by reading the words of an English story. Why am I saying that you should do this? Because your mind needs stories, not words. Your mind can communicate better with stories and ideas, not just simple words, not just words that stand alone. So, when you read a story because you have some general idea of the topic, you can memorize the words used in the story better, and your mind can keep those words longer because your mind has been able to connect better with the topic of the story. So your mind, is not looking for just words. Your mind is looking for ideas. Your mind is looking for stories. So instead of memorizing the word alone, try to create a funny or a strange story with the word and use that word in that story. That way the word will stick in your mind much longer and you'll be able to remember the word immediately, the very next time that you want to use the word. Let me give you an example of how we can do this. We all know the meaning of the word exaggerate, right? Instead of repeating the word exaggerate, like exaggerate, 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 try to create a story and use the word exaggerate in it. Let me give you an example of a story in which the word exaggerate has been used. Imagine a tiny ant saying, "I'm the strongest animal in the world. I can lift an elephant." It's just exaggerating, right? So, you see, I used the word exaggerate in that short story. Imagine an ant saying, "I'm the strongest animal in the world." First of all, an ant is not the strongest animal in the world. And second of all, it's really funny for an ant to lift an elephant, right? Imagine an ant saying, "I'm the strongest animal in the world. I can even lift an elephant." It's just exaggerating, right? So this way you can remember the word exaggerate better and much longer. The word sticks in your mind, in your memory, much longer, and you can use it immediately and, spontaneously the next time that you want to use it. So your brain loves stories, not just words. Try to create stories. The funnier, the better. The funnier your story is, the longer words will stay in your mind. So try to create stories with the words that you learn. If you really want to remember them longer and be able to use them, on the spot or when it comes to being in need of them to make a sentence. Now we get to the second step. Do you remember at the beginning of this video I said there is a 4-step strategy. There's a 4-step technique that you got to use to be able to remember words as best you can. Well, now we're getting to the second step. The second step that you should take is that you got to create a picture of the words that you're learning. In other words, you got to turn the words that you're learning into pictures. Why? Because your brain can understand pictures better than words. Your brain can memorize pictures better than words, can connect with pictures, can understand pictures much better than a single word. So try to create a mental image for every single word that you learn. Let me give you the example of the word gigantic, right? Gigantic means extremely big, something that is huge, humongous, extremely big, right? Now, try to turn the word gigantic into a picture. A gigantic burger that is as big as a house. That way you can remember the word gigantic better. So a gigantic burger that is as big as a house. So you need to create a mental picture of this word. So all you need to do is close your eyes and imagine that gigantic burger as big as a house. So when you imagine that gigantic burger as big as a house, the word gigantic is sticking in your mind. Why? Because you're trying to create a mental image of the word. So try to turn the words that you're learning into pictures and images, and try to create a mental image of every single word that you want to memorize or you're trying to learn. Why? Because your brain can memorize pictures better than words. Your brain can understand pictures much better than just words written on a piece of paper. So turn every single word that you learn into an image, into a picture, into a mental image or in a mental picture. Alright, the next step towards memorizing and remembering words is the 5x rule. What is the 5x rule? The 5x rule is try to repeat the words that you're learning at the right time. Do not repeat a single word a million times, just once. Try to repeat the words at the right time. You got to repeat the words that you learn 5 times. When? You got to repeat the word after learning it, immediately after learning it. You got to repeat the word 10 minutes after learning it. You got to repeat the word an hour after learning it. You got to repeat the word the next day. And you got to repeat the word a week later. So you got to repeat each and every single word that you learn 5 times after learning it. When? First of all, immediately after learning the word. Second of all, 10 minutes after learning the word. Third of all, an hour after learning the word. Fourth of all, the next day, a day after learning the word. And fifth of all, the next week after learning the word. If you repeat the words that you learn 5 times after learning it, you can remember the word much longer. So when it comes to learning a new word, the number of times that you repeat the word immediately after learning it is not of utmost importance. The frequency of the way you repeat the word, the frequency of you repeating the word is all that matters, which means if you learn a word and repeat it 100 times immediately after learning the word, it's not going to help you remember the word longer. But if you learn a word and repeat the word 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, frequently, on a frequent basis, after learning the word, then that way you can remember the word much longer and it's not going to go out of your mind. It will stick in your mind. So try to take advantage of the 5x rule. Repeat a word immediately after learning it, 10 minutes after learning it, an hour after learning it, the next day, and also a week after learning it. The 5x rule. Try to repeat, try to increase the number of times that you repeat a word. And do not just repeat a word, let's say 1,000,000 times immediately after learning it. Try to repeat the word on the next day, in the next week, in the next month, on the following days. That's what you got to do. That's the best way to repeat a word to be able to remember it longer. All right, now we get to the next step, which consists of the rule of use it or lose it. But what does it mean? Use it or lose it? Well, the phrase itself clearly suggests what it means. Use it or lose it. Which means when you use a word frequently, on a frequent basis, the chances of you forgetting that word are very minor, are very ignorable. What does that mean? That means the more you use a word, the longer you can remember it and the better you can use it. So try to use a word that you're learning or you've learned in your daily conversations, when you're communicating with others, when you're uploading a video to your social media, when it comes to texting on Instagram, on WhatsApp, or in every way possible. Whenever you're speaking English, try to use the words that you're learning. So if you do not use a word that you've learned, it stands to reason that it will go clean out of your mind. It will go immediately out of your mind, and it is not supposed to stay in your mind long. Why? Because you're not using the word. So do not learn a word that you're not going to use. If you're learning a word, make sure that you're going to use it. And always remember the use it or lose it rule, which suggests that you got to use every single word that you learn in different situations, on different occasions, in your daily conversations, when you communicate with others, in any single and simple sentence that you make in English. Let me give you an example. Let's say you've learned the word bizarre, which means strange and unusual. The next time that you're chatting with a friend of yours on WhatsApp, let's say your best friend Alex texts you on WhatsApp, when you want to respond to them, instead of using the word strange, try to use the word bizarre. You can say, hey, Alex, today I saw something bizarre happened. And that way, by using that word in your daily conversations or the sentences that you make every day, you completely guarantee that that word will stay in your memory much longer. Now we get to the next step towards learning the words in a way that you don't forget them or you can remember them long, which is by using the clustering technique. But what is the clustering technique? Well, the clustering technique recommends that we should not learn words alone. We got to learn words in groups with other words. Let's say we got to learn collocations. We got to learn phrases that consist of the words that we want to memorize. Let's say there's a word that you want to learn, which is happy. Instead of just memorizing the word happy, try to memorize the word group. For example, happy, excited, joyful, thrilled, ecstatic, overjoyed. So instead of memorizing just one word alone, try to memorize a group of words with the same meaning. That way your brain can remember those words better. And that's about all, guys. So let's review all these techniques and methods together. First of all, when you're learning a new word, you should learn a word by creating a story. You should learn the words by reading stories. That's the best way to learn a new word. Read English stories more to be able to learn more words by reading those stories, because when you see the words and those stories, your mind can keep those words much longer, and as a result, you'll be able to remember them much longer. The second step is try to create a mental image of the word that you're learning. So try to turn the words that you're learning into pictures, into some mental pictures. Imagine the words that you're trying to memorize in your mind by thinking about them, by picturizing them. When you turn them into mental images, they can stay in your memory much longer. The third step is that you should repeat the words that you're learning frequently, not just a significant number of times immediately after learning the word, but on a more frequent basis. You got to repeat the word on the next day, in the next hour, in the next week, in the next month, and you got to increase the number of times that you repeat the word over an extended period of time. But the repetition of the words that you're learning over an extended period of time definitely guarantees that you will remember those words much longer. And you can use them immediately and spontaneously when it comes to talking about something that, you need to use those words to be able to continue talking about. And the next step was to learn the words that you're going to actually use. So use it or lose it, which means if you don't use a word, you're going to lose it. Use words in your daily conversations, in every communication, in every sentence that you want to make, and in every conversation that you want to have with someone. And finally, do not learn words alone. Try to learn a group of words that have the same meaning. Try to learn the word groups. When you want to learn the word happy, try to learn the word happy with all its synonyms. If you want to learn the word angry, try to learn the word angry with all its synonyms. Do not just learn the word angry alone. Learn angry, mad, sad, exasperated, aggressive, brutal. If you want to learn the word happy, learn happy, excited, thrilled, overjoyed. Do not just learn happy alone. And that's about all, guys. These are all the best methods and techniques that you can use to memorize words, and make sure that you can remember them immediately when you want to use them in the future at some point, when you're having a conversation with someone in which you really need to use the word that you've learned. Make sure you've liked this video in support of this channel. Thank you for doing so, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back soon with another video. Have you ever wondered how some people learn English quickly with ease, as if they were born to do so, while others struggle to learn this language and master it for years? Even sometimes they put a lot of effort into learning this language, but they get nowhere and they achieve no desirable results. Well, why does this happen? What do some people do that enables them to learn English much faster than others? How do they make this possible? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be providing responses to these questions, and I will be showing some techniques, some smart hacks that you can use to improve your English at the shortest amount of time. Are you ready? Of course you are. So let's get started. First of all, before you start learning English, you need to change your mindset of learning English. The mindset that you have is the roadmap that determines how even or uneven the journey of learning English will be for you. What I mean is, geniuses, the smart people, do not learn English word by word, grammar rule by grammar rule, and sentence by sentence. They focus on the 20% of English that enables them to learn the 80% of this language. They take advantage of the 80 out of 20 rule. What does that mean? What does the 80 out of 20 rule do? Well, the 80 out of 20 rule enables you to get 80% of what you want out of English by focusing on 20% of this language. So the 20% of this language gives you the 80% of what you want out of this language, which is fantastic, isn't it? It looks like magic, doesn't it? So instead of learning every single word, every single sentence, every single grammar rule, geniuses focus on high-frequency words, high-frequency grammar rules, and things that are commonly used. So this is the 80 out of 20 rule. Instead of learning a word that you get to use rarely in English, or a word that is not commonly used, you can use a word that you can use in most everyday conversations that enables you to produce 80% of the content that you want to produce in English, by only using 20% of English words or 20% of English vocabulary, which is fantastic, isn't it? Let me give you an example. Instead of learning the word parsimonious, which is a bit of a mouthful, which looks like a difficult word to use, which happens to be one of the most uncommon words in English in order to describe someone who's stingy, you can simply learn the word stingy and use this word, because the word stingy is more commonly and frequently used than the word parsimonious. So stingy is a high-frequency word. Or instead of learning the word prosperous to describe someone who's rich, you can simply learn the word rich and repeat this word in every conversation or in many situations. It doesn't matter that you repeat a word in different situations, because you just want to focus on the 20% of English vocabulary that, gives you the 80% that you want out of this language. So always focus on the 80 out of 20 mindset. This is the kind of mindset that enables you to learn English fast and quickly, rather than get stuck somewhere on the road and journey of learning English. And now I want to reveal 5 simple hacks, 5 smart hacks that you can use, take advantage of, in order to learn English much faster. The first hack is the 3-minute rule. What is the 3-minute rule? What does it do? How does it work? How does it help us learn English faster? Well, the 3-minute rule suggests that you should learn English in micro moments. In other words, you gotta learn English when you're wasting your time on going to work, walking to work, driving, traveling to different places. You gotta take advantage of the precious and valuable time that you have in order to learn English. How can you do that? By taking advantage of platforms like ChatGPT or a lot of applications on your phone or a lot of applications, on the internet in order to memorize words and remember them better. Or you can simply install the dictionaries that you use on your phone or, on your laptop or the devices that you have, your iPads or your tablets. Then that way, when you're driving to work or when you're being driven to work, when, you're going to work by bus, when you're flying somewhere, instead of wasting your time and just looking around or listening to music or doing things that will not get you anywhere in the long term, try to allocate that time to learning English. Take advantage of these micro moments to learn English and take your English to the next level. So that was the first hack, the 3-minute rule. Now we get to the second hack, which is the no textbook hack. What is the no textbook hack? Well, the name clearly suggests how it works and what you should exactly do. The no textbook hack says that you gotta learn English without reading textbooks. Studying English by reading textbooks takes a lot of energy, effort, and needs a lot of time. You really need to spend a lot of time reading books, doing homework, quizzes, and things of that nature. Rather than do that, I highly recommend that you expose yourself to content in English on YouTube, Instagram, by watching movies, by watching series, by watching news on TV. I think this seriously is a wonderful, in every sense of the word, a wonderful method of improving your English. Rather than read textbooks to learn new words, to learn vocabulary, idioms, expressions, or grammar, try to watch movies, try to watch videos on YouTube, and pay attention to the sentences made by the speakers in those movies that you watch, or on TV or on YouTube. I think it is a lot easier to do on YouTube than on other platforms because YouTube gives you the option of pausing videos and also activating captions. If you look at the videos you're watching on YouTube, at the bottom of every video there is an icon which is CC, which is the caption. So if you activate captions, you can simply see every single word, every single sentence said by the speakers in the video on the screen. And you can pause, have a look at the sentence, analyze the sentence in terms of the words used, grammatical structures used, and in many ways. Then you can also ask ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence, the famous artificial intelligence platform. You can ask ChatGPT to translate these sentences into your own language, into your first language. Also, you can ask ChatGPT to analyze the grammatical structures used in that sentence, and also to explain the meanings of the words used in that sentence. And that way you can learn English a lot faster than just reading textbooks. I think reading textbooks with the purpose of learning English is a thing of the past. I think in 2025 and in the 21st century, given the significant amount of technology surrounding us, no one should choose reading textbooks as the only method of improving their English. There are thousands of other better and more amazing ways of doing so, as I just explained earlier. Now we get to the hack number 3 that can help you learn English much faster, which is the sentence rule. What is the sentence rule? Well, when you want to learn a new word, the sentence rule suggests that you should not learn that word alone and separately from other words. You gotta learn that new word in the form of English sentences. So try to make a sentence with every new word that you learn and try to memorize the sentence instead of the word. Let's say you want to learn the word impressive. Instead of learning the word impressive and memorizing this word alone and separately, try to make a sentence with impressive, like, I read an impressive book. I read an impressive book. So this is the sentence that you made with the word impressive. Try to memorize this sentence. I read an impressive book instead of the word impressive alone and separately. Why? Because your mind is looking for sentences and stories, not just words. When you put words in sentences with the purpose of forming stories and dialogues, that way your mind can memorize, your brain can memorize those sentences and dialogues better than just, having to memorize a single word or a single thing. So do your best to make sure that you're taking advantage of the sentence rule. Memorize words in the form of sentences and dialogues and short stories rather than just in the form of single words used separately from sentences or dialogues. Now we're proceeding to the hack number 4 that you can take advantage of to facilitate learning English, or to fast-track learning English, to increase the pace of you learning English, which is the 5-year-old trick. What is the 5-year-old trick? How does a 5-year-old kid learn English? Does a 5-year-old kid learn English by reading grammar books or vocabulary books? The answer to the question is an obvious no. Because a 5-year-old kid does not have the exact same mental complexity as as an adult or as a 20-year-old individual, a 30-year-old individual. That being said, a 5-year-old kid is exposed to content in English rather than textbooks or anything similar that might suggest the exact same content. So they learn English by playing, right? So kids learn English by playing. This is one of the most common ways of teaching kids new things, whether it is English, whether it is any other skills. So kids learn things by playing. So try to play with English. How can you do so? Instead of reading books or, doing things seriously with the purpose of learning English, try to speak English, even if you make a lot of mistakes. Try to set yourself a certain amount of time to speak English within, no matter how many mistakes you make, no matter the problems you may have. Just try to have fun, try to play the game of speaking English. Set yourself a challenge. Say, okay, I want to face this challenge of speaking English non-stop for 5 minutes about a certain topic, no matter what. Even if I make a lot of mistakes, that's completely fine. I'm just doing this with the purpose of having fun, or with the purpose of playing a game. That way, when you see English as playing a game, you can learn it better. And when you face the challenge of speaking English for a certain amount of time, non-stop, regardless or despite all the mistakes that you may make, you can learn English more easily, and you can enjoy learning English, and you get into the habit of doing so. And after a while, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes a part of you, which means you've already started learning English, and you're doing it each and every single day, each and every single hour, and after a while, you can see the significant impacts of doing so. You can see, the magic that it does. After a short period of time, you just realize that you've improved your English so much and so fast and quickly. Now we get to the last hack of today's video that enables you to learn English much faster than others, which is the immersion hack without travel. What is the immersion hack without travel? Some people travel to English-speaking countries with the purpose of improving their English or practicing the English that they have learned in real-life situations with native speakers, which, in my humble opinion, is the craziest and the silliest and the most expensive method of improving your English, or the silliest and craziest and the most expensive way of practicing their English with others. No one in their right mind would spend that amount of money, on traveling to a country with the purpose of practicing their English. This is 21st century. We're living in 2025, the age of technologies, the age of AI. So try to change your phone's language to English rather than travel to an English-speaking country. Try to watch movies without subtitles and captions. Receive content in English, only in English, without any translations. Listen to songs in English. Listen to podcasts in English. Listen to everything you can in English. Watch everything you can in English, whether it is news on TV, whether it's documentaries on YouTube or anything. Just watch and listen to things in English without subtitles and captions. And last but not the least, join the English-speaking communities. There are many of which on Telegram, on Instagram, on YouTube, on, I don't know, Facebook. By joining these English-speaking clubs and communities, you can simply communicate with people in English, find a speaking partner that can, go a long way towards improving your English. I'm not saying having a speaking partner is the only way to improve your English. You can even improve your English without having a speaking partner. But having a speaking partner is like the icing on the cake, is, an extra option that enables you to improve your English at a faster pace. And that's about all, guys. By taking advantage of all these 5 tricks and also the mindset that I explained earlier at the beginning of this video, you can guarantee that you can learn English fast without having to waste so much time, effort, and energy on doing so. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure you like this video in support of this channel and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll be back soon with another video.